Hey guys, welcome to Motoroids. My name is Amit and this of course is the new Tata Curvv, a car that represents Tata's progress over the years. And just one look at this car and you know that not just in terms of its design but in terms of its fit and finish, in terms of the overall development of the brand, Tata has come a long way. Now today in this review I'm going to let you know everything that's important about this fantastic machine, something that we can be proud of as Indians. So you need to stay until the end because there are many questions that you'll not get the answers for in some other reviews, but here I'll try and make sure that everything that you want to know about this car is included in this exhaustive review Motoroids style. Let's get going with that, but before that, on your screen is a chart that tells you the positioning of this car in terms of its length, its width, its height, its wheelbase, its power, and a lot of other things as compared to its key competitors. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's have a look at the styling of this car. As you would have seen, it's a reasonably sizable car, not the biggest in its segment. The ZS is slightly bigger, but nevertheless, up front, here you have quite some resemblance with the Nexon, which has been around for quite some time, and all of that includes the connected DRL here and the front grille, although all of these beautiful elements here in chrome are rather interesting, and this skid plate also is done in satin silver. Apart from that, you get a projector LED headlamp and a fog lamp which also doubles up as a cornering lamp when you turn the wheels. You have these air curtains as well, and not just that, when you turn the car on, it also welcomes you with this little animation here, and the turn indicators are also swipe out. So all of that really makes it special, and the charging socket is right behind this Tata logo and it's electrically operated. So unlike some other cars where you can just push it for it to pop out, that doesn't happen here. How does this work? Let me just demonstrate it to you. Now, an interesting aspect about this DRL is that this is not meant only for decorative purposes, it's very functional too. So while you're charging the Curvv EV, this bar will keep on increasing as the charge increases. So once the battery is fully charged, this bar will be fully loaded and you'd know that the car is completely charged. Now, another good thing about this is that it also comes with vehicle to load and vehicle to vehicle power transfer capabilities. So you can not just run your electrical equipment but also charge a compatible car with this port here. Now, apart from that, as you would see, you have this unit for the 360-degree camera, and it also comes with level 2 ADAS capabilities. So this also comes with radars up front, and it also has a camera up front on the windscreen there so that it can identify lanes as well as objects. So it does come loaded with a lot of good tech, and not just that, when you pop open this bonnet, you would see that there is some space to spare up front as well. It's a rather beautifully finished lid, and underneath you have space of about 11.6 liters. You have some insulation also here, and the bonnet itself feels a lot heavier than a lot of other Japanese cars, and that means that this car is built rather solid, and if Tata has to be believed, it will score a 5-star rating in the BNCAP. Now, when you look at the car from the side, of course, the most standout feature of its roof is the sloping, swooping roofline, which makes it the coupe SUV, which seems to be the buzzword right now. We saw the launch of the Basalt also very recently. Gets a shark fin antenna. It also gets a 2-pane panoramic sunroof here. And if you come towards the front, once again, you'd see that it comes with these Aero 18-inch wheels. It comes loaded with discs at both the ends, squared off wheel arches, and it's shot with 215 section 18-inch wheels, and it really looks very nice. The ground clearance is also quite generous, although not as much as I would have thought. I would have thought it was 200 mm or more, but it's not, because the battery panel is protruding a little bit underneath the body. Don't worry, it's protected. You get this .ev branding here, and it also gets this piano black cladding here to add to the premium feel. The 360-degree camera units are fitted out here, and the ORVM unit is also finished in piano black. The door handles are flush fitted, although they are manual, and it also has this light here. How much is the headroom inside? We'll let you know in a bit. Coming towards the rear, That's where the car looks slightly disproportionate to me. I really believe that the rear of this car could have been a little bit low set so that it looked more squat. At this point in time, the rump of this car looks slightly higher than ideal to me, and it probably could have looked a little bit wider, a little bit more squat. Just like the front, you have elements of piano black here. You have the rear unit of the 360-degree camera, the Curvv.EV branding here. One peculiar thing about the boot here is that the button for the boot is very small and you really have to struggle hard to find it. I personally have to struggle hard to find it, and it's a very small touch button. And as you can see, it also gets these swipe out blinkers, a connected brake light, and the boot here is quite generous at 500 liters. So you can actually go for a very long holiday with your family as well. The spare is not full sized, it's a 16-inch rim, a steel rim, it's not an alloy, and it's shod with 205 section tires. You have this illumination here, and this here is the woofer of the JBL sound system, which is an 8+1 speaker unit. This is the woofer system, and this button that you see here is for the activation of vehicle to vehicle or vehicle to load, and it's like a double check so that as soon as you connect an equipment or a vehicle to the charging system, it doesn't start charging automatically. You have to press this button first. Now, apart from the default space that you also have these two small compartments on either ends, and you can use these to store small articles. And you also have these hooks here on both the ends, and all four of these can bear a weight of 1 kg each. Another great thing about the boot, of course, is that it's powered, and that's a fantastic feature to have in a vehicle of this class. Now, one more interesting feature that this car has is that it comes with a gesture control boot, and if your hands are full, you don't really have to take the key out, and the boot will open all by itself. Back to the sporty look of the car, you also have this integrated spoiler. It's not very functional, but it does lend the car a very beautiful kind of a look. And at the rear end, you have this satin silver finished scuff plate just like the front. As I mentioned, the rump of this car is quite high set. It probably could have been slightly lower and wider to give it a more planted kind of a stance. It also gets piano black inserts here and rear parking sensors as well. And in terms of awareness, where you can understand what the car is doing in very closed spaces, you have parking sensors up front and at the rear, and you have a 360-degree camera, and you also have radars which can really help you understand what's happening. So it also comes with rear cross traffic alert, blind spot identification, and a lot of other things which enhance your awareness of the cars and other things around you. The reverse light is placed here, and this little piece that you see here is not a fog light, it's just a reflector. The ORVMs here also come with these mounted blinkers. The fog lamps also double up as cornering lights and turn in the direction of the steering. Also, the headlights here come with high beam assist, which is fantastic for night use. Now, what you see here is a speaker, and this system is known as AVAS or AVAS or Acoustic Voice Alert System. And what it does is, for speeds up to 20 kilometers per hour, it emanates the sound that you're listening to right now so that the pedestrians can be alerted and they can move aside, and it's like a safety feature. A lot of sounds are associated with the AVAS, and let's quickly have a look at what all sounds are associated with AVAS and how you can control them. With AVAS, you cannot really turn the sound off entirely, so while the car is moving, the sound will always be emanated, but the cranking sound, charging sound, lock and unlock sound, and V2X sounds can be turned on or off using this screen right here. Time now to explore the fantastic interiors of the Curvv EV, but before that, we would really like to know what you think about the styling of this car, whether you like it, whether you don't like it. Do let us know in the comment section. We'll really be very eagerly waiting for your comments. Alright, so before we get inside, let's have a look at the key as well. So it's an all-new key. It comes with this EV branding here. It's a piano black and silver kind of a finish. Feels solid and premium. Lock, unlock, headlight, as well as the boot release button. And since it does get a proximity sensor, you don't really have to pull the key out of your pocket. You just have to press this button, and then you'll be welcomed by these auto folding mirrors, and you have to press on one end of the flush fitting door handles to get inside. And inside you will be welcomed by an interior which is familiar yet rather new and fresh. So quite a few bits are rather similar to the Nexon EV, but it also gets a lot of differentiation. Let's start with the door panel, and here you have this puddle lamp to start off, and hard plastics for the most part, but you also get this premium piano black finish here, and this soft to touch material right here, and this chrome door pull. Now the driver's side window is one touch auto down but not auto up, but the rest of the window buttons are all manual, and here you have the window lock button. There is space for a full-sized water bottle, and you also have this little space for a small umbrella. Apart from that, you have these map pockets, and that should bring us to the seats, which by the way are ventilated at 3 levels. Both the driver and passenger seats are ventilated, and you also have electrically 6-way adjustable driver's seat. The seat cushioning is reasonably good. I could probably have done with slightly more thigh support, but it's rather comfortable and I should not actually be complaining. The steering is slightly different from the one that we have seen on the Nexon, and as you know, this is an illuminated unit. It's finished in this soft to touch material in grey and beige, and at the bottom you have this glossy grey color right here. Now the controls for the ADAS functions are sat right here, and if you look at it, you can cycle through various different information screens by pressing this button here. Of course, it comes with cruise control, and the key ADAS functions like adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist have their controls here, and on the left hand side you have the audio controls. This car also comes with voice assistant, and the voice assistant can be had in 4 different forms. You have Tata's native voice assistant, then you also have the Google Assistant, then you have the Siri, and you can also have Alexa, which can come to your help if you want to be using the Alexa commands. Now the steering wheel here is adjustable only for tilt, not telescopically adjustable. But what's really nice is that the screens here are very high res, and as you can see, the 360-degree camera on this car is also quite amazing. One of the better units that you'll come across, and there are various different modes that you can choose from, and as you can see, the animation is quite premium. It is comparable with some more premium cars, and the resolution also is pretty good. You can choose any angle that you want to look at the car from, and that really makes it a very usable and enjoyable unit to use. And you can also have a look at the wheels of the car using these buttons, and you can get into the settings. So all of that is really nice, and I quite like the camera on this car. Now here you have some controls which are for AC as well as for a lot of other functions. And the AC is not a dual zone unit, although it is automatic. Here you have the 360-degree camera, you have the lock unlock button, you have the boot release button here, the hazard light, hill descent control, fog lamps can be turned on or off using this button. And then you have the charger release button here. Now an interesting thing is that since I'm in P right now, if I put the car to accessory, you will have this button come on here, which basically is the button that you use to electrically remove the lid over the charging socket. However, the moment you put the car off from the accessory mode, it will go away because it therefore won't be safe for the car to be charged. So the car can be charged, the socket can be opened only when the car is in accessory mode. Then you have this express cooling mode, and you have the demister and defogger controls, recirculation and the other AC controls. A good thing is the moment you want to choose anything on the air conditioning unit, you also have some controls here, and when you press on this, a very detailed graphic comes on, and it allows you to choose all of these features including an icon from the screen itself, and it really makes life very easy. And you also have the AQI calculator here, so the AQI here is very good. So I really like what Tata have done with the infotainment screen as well as these buttons integration, and it is very intuitive, very easy to use. Now in terms of the quality of the interior, as you can see, this part here is textured, although this is not soft to touch, this is hard. You have this satin silver inlay here, followed by this unique inlay here, which is finished in an aluminum kind of a finish, and it has these ridges which lend it a very interesting kind of a look. And below that you have the panel in soft to touch material and this steel contrasting stitching. All of this is nicely done, and must I say, this looks better finished than a lot of other Tata cars that we have seen, although there are some rough edges even now, and in some parts, like the point where the door shuts with the A pillar, you can see inconsistencies, as here the panel is parallel to the A pillar panel, but if you look at the panel on the left hand side, there is still some inconsistency. So these are some small things which probably could have been a little bit better, but overall the fit and finish inside this Tata car is a lot better than what we have come to expect from Tata cars in the past, and I quite like the progress that these guys have made. Now apart from that, you also have a 12-volt power socket here. You have a Type A and Type C socket, and this is a fast charger with 45 watts, so you can actually charge your high powered electrical equipment and electronic equipment like your camera and laptop from this socket right here. Then you have 3 driving modes to choose from. You can choose from City, Eco and Sport. You also get wireless charging here, and this entire panel is finished nicely in piano black, which again is a premium touch. Electronic parking brake, you have auto hold button right here, and underneath this armrest, which by the way has faux leather as well as this steel contrasting stitching, you have some space to spare. A good thing about this space is that this is cooled, so if you put a can or some other beverage here, it'll stay cool. Now when you have a look at the controls here for the lights as well as for the wiper, you'd see that you have the automatic functions. So the lights as well as the wipers are automatic, rain sensing wipers as well as automatic headlights, which is a fantastic touch. And you also have these paddles here which basically are meant to increase or decrease the brake region, and as you can see from the left, you can go down on the region. So right now it's off, and if I use the right pedal, it'll keep going up L1, L2 and L3, and the range will also keep on increasing as I increase the region level, because then as you decelerate, the batteries get recharged. Now another heartening thing to see is that the seats are rather well finished, they're well bolstered, and not just that, the cushioning and padding is also of a good order. So on the center you have this perforated faux leather, and on the sides you have fabric, and then on the edges you have this dark grey material. It's finished very tastefully, looks very premium. It comes with adjustable headrests, and in the middle you have this really nice satin silver finished insert which lifts the premium feel a little bit more. So I really like what Tata have done with the seats of the Tata Curvv. It really lifts the interior's feel and it makes it look more premium than a lot of other cars in the segment. Now the seat belts are also adjustable for height, and that's a fantastic feature. I quite like that they have not cut corners. And finally, the one feature that especially the kids love, the sunroof functions like this, and you can have a look at how this entire thing works. The blinds go all the way back. It's a 2-pane panoramic sunroof, and this is by how much the pane will go back. It's simply a one-touch function, and you just have to press it once for the entire sunroof to operate at its full range. Now another great thing about this interior is that the headliner quality is very good. It's not like a lot of other cars in this segment or below where you have the fleece headliner. It's finished in a very nice quality, high quality fabric, and again, it's full marks to Tata for that. You have electrochromatic mirror here, auto dimming. On the driver's side, you don't really have a vanity mirror, although you have a toll ticket holder. And on the passenger side, you have a vanity mirror, albeit not illuminated. This is the light here. You have these SOS buttons. And all in all, it's done very neatly. I quite like the fit finish. It's a step up from what we have come to expect from Tata. And those who come to experience this car in the showroom are really going to be impressed with what Tata have done with the interior. The glove box here has this button for it to be opened, and it is a cooled unit. And not just that, it also comes with this tray here. It's very cavernous, one of the biggest glove boxes I have seen. And for the smaller items like this card holder, you have this little crevice here as well. Finally, if you want to have a coffee while the car is stationary, you can use this part as a cup holder as well. A few more neat touches here include this pen holder as well as this card holder. And a very interesting thing here is that there is an emblem of a tiger as well. Now covering the central panel is this mesh pattern here, and you also have a 2 kg hook here which you can use to hang a bag or what have you. And generally you don't see this feature, but Tata Curvv has this feature. Also the mat that you see here is not a standard fitment, it comes as an accessory. Now let's also have a look at the 12-inch infotainment screen of the Tata Curvv, and must I say it's very high res, very neatly done. So the iconography is very simple, and it's very easy to scroll through all of these tiles. You have wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Amazon Alexa, you have an air purifier. So right now, as you can see, AQI is fantastic. Then you have the arcade.ev section where you have various different sections like games, you can listen to podcasts, and there's a whole bunch of things to be experienced. Right now the connection is very poor, that's why it's taking some time to load. It's connected through the internal eSIM. So as you can see, you can have audiobooks, music, news, parking, sports and games, and video entertainment. All of these things can be had here, and you can download your own apps as well. And apart from that, you have Amazon Music, Dash Radio, Gaana, JioSaavn, Pocket Cast. All of these apps can be downloaded here and can be used by the person who's using the car. Then you have the climate control, which I mentioned is very intuitive again, very easy to use. In the EV section, you get to know about the range and a lot of other things about the car. And you can also change the EV related settings very quickly. Then you have an image viewer, which requires you to have a USB. You have the sound controls in JBL modes, and you have various different equalizer preset settings, or you can choose where you want the audio focus to be, on default or on co-driver seat. All of that can be controlled from here. Then you can choose from the media source. You have mood light, where you have 5 preset modes: celebration, calm, sunset, ocean, and nature, or you can choose a color of your own choice. The Curvv also comes with ambient lighting, and the color range can be seen here. You can also choose from various different modes, which are 5 in number. And while the colors are limited in the sense that they are changeable only from a shade of yellow to a shade of light blue, what Tata tells us is that's more for aesthetic reasons, and they can change it to unlock a million colors just by an OTA update. And you can choose whether you want the mood light up front, at the rear, or the roof. And as you can see, the sunroof also has mood lighting. Right now it's quite bright, so you cannot see it, but the sunroof also comes with ambient lighting. So the cabin looks very nice and cozy, and the ambient lighting can be seen here as well and at the rear as well. Then you have the phone settings. You have some quick settings which basically are about the audio, the lights, as well as the driver assistance, which basically is a function of the level 2 ADAS that you have. And you also have blind spot monitor. And update about blind spot monitor is that when you are driving and you turn the blinker on, the blind spot monitor is visible on the instrument console itself. Earlier it was visible here, and listening to the customer feedback, Tata have put it on the instrument console itself. You have radio, you have the detailed settings where you have all the settings about the car. You can share your location. There's a sound demo as well. Let's play it. Let me turn up the volume a little bit. Now, while the bass is very strong and the sound is very powerful, the clarity is not there with the high-end systems. Although among the Tata systems, this is one of the higher-end systems, and it's also used in Safari. Then you have the surround view, which essentially is the 360-degree camera, which I have given you a short demo already of. And you have a video player, you have a voice assistant, and you have What 3 Words, which basically is your navigation system. And you can use the 3 words assigned to any place, and you can just reach there by using the What 3 Words functionality. Now the infotainment system here is pretty comprehensive, although it does not come with inbuilt navigation, which I think is an omission. Finally, you have various different widgets which can be added or removed from the home page, and you can just browse through all the widgets that you have like so, or add a new widget if you so wish. Now as you can see, there is driver attention assist also, which is also known as drowsiness detect, and including that there is a whole suite of safety features on this car. It comes with 6 airbags as standard. As we know, Tata's cars are structurally very strong, and we're pretty sure that like a lot of other Tata cars, this will also score a 5-star safety rating. It also comes with hill hold assist, comes with electronic parking brake, And with the whole suite of level 2 ADAS functions, I really think that this is one of the safer cars that you can drive in the mainstream segment as of now. Let's go to the back seat and see how much space we have. And that's a very important question that you would probably be asking, because it's a coupe SUV and the headroom in such cars is generally limited. Let's see whether such is the case. All right, let's get inside the cabin of the Tata Curvv at the back end. And as you can see, the entry is pretty easy. Even if you're not too tall, you don't really have to climb inside the car. Although for very short people, it may be a bit of a struggle, but it generally seems like a very convenient and comfortable entry for people of all shapes and sizes. Now, the knee room here is just about sufficient. I really cannot say that it's very generous. We have seen a lot of other cars which have scooped out backrests, but this one does not. Although there is enough space for my feet, the thigh support is just about sufficient, and the seats are not too high. So despite not being a very tall person, myself being 5 feet 10 inch, I think my knees are pointing slightly more skywards than I would have wanted. So the support for the thighs is not as much as I would have wanted, especially if you are a tall person. Maybe you will find this a wee bit uncomfortable. Now let's have a look at the headroom also. And myself being 5 feet 10, this is just about sufficient. But we had our colleague Yogesh, who's 6 feet 1, sit here, and for him this space was definitely not sufficient. So if you're someone who's 5 feet 11 or thereabouts, you'd be okay here. But if you're taller than that, then the head is going to be brushing with the roof at all times. So you have to be very mindful of that. Now, apart from that, if you look at the door panel here, you have the soft touch material here and hard plastics everywhere else. You have piano black finish here, and the window button here is manual, so it's not one touch up or down. You have chrome door pulls, and you have space for a 1 liter water bottle here in this part, and a smaller portion can be used for maybe a 500 ml water bottle or some other knickknacks at this part. Now, as I mentioned, the space here is not the most generous that we have seen. However, what's good is that the floor is almost flat, so you actually can seat 3 abreast for short to medium journeys. You also get this really nice cup holder cum armrest, and the cup holders here are adjustable to an extent because this rubber here is flexible, so it can accommodate cups of various different sizes. You have 2 different reading lights for the rear passengers, and you also have this retractable handle and a coat hook as well. You get a 45 watt Type-C USB socket and rear AC vents, although there is no flow control. Now, another great feature is that the seats can be reclined using the button that you use to drop them down. And as you can see, the 40 part of this seat can be further reclined, and that should add a wee bit of comfort to your journeys, especially if you're going over long journeys. The suspension is pretty compliant. It's a reasonably comfortable suspension. So over longer journeys, you should not be too uncomfortable, although this is also not one of the most comfortable back seats that I've come across, primarily because of 2 reasons. A, the headroom here is not all that great, and the thigh support, etc., especially for taller people, is not the best that we have seen in this class. Apart from that, you'd also have adjustable headrests for the side passengers, but the central passenger does not get a proper headrest. Although you do have a 3-point seat belt for the central passenger, and you also get ISOFIX child seat mounts. So a back seat which is comfortable, reasonably comfortable, but not the plushest that we have seen. Now, as you can see, the seats can also be folded down 60/40, and the good thing is that Tata have provided the exact volume numbers for the various configurations. So when the seats are up, you have 500 liters. When the seats are 40% folded, you have 689 liters, and when they are 60% folded, you have 784 liters. However, when you have both the seats folded, you have 973 liters of space. The charging options and the respective times can be seen on the chart right now on the screen. Now, we all know that the Nexon was always a decent car to drive in its electric format, and I'm very glad to report that the Tata Curvv EV is an improvement over what we have seen on the Tata Curvv. So let's start with the specs first, and there are 2 formats in which this car is presented. The 45 kilowatt hour battery and the 55 kilowatt hour battery. Of course, with a bigger battery pack, you get a better range also, and the ARAI certified range on the bigger battery pack, the car that we are driving right now, is 585 kilometers, which is a lot, but that's on paper. In the real world, you'll get about 400 to 420 kilometers of range on the bigger pack, and on the smaller pack, you'll get about 350 kilometers of range. Apart from that, another difference between the two cars is their performance, and while the car with the bigger battery pack will do its 0 to 100 run in 8.6 seconds, the smaller one will do the same jig at about 9 seconds. So it's very slightly slower. There shouldn't be any perceptible difference on the road while you drive the two cars. But you should know that since the smaller battery pack protrudes a little less below the floorboard, the ground clearance on the smaller battery pack is also higher. So that one is 190 and the bigger battery pack is 186 mm. Now the acceleration is pretty brisk, and I'm happy to report that it's not abrupt. I don't want my cars to have a wheel spin. I don't want them to lunge. And what you heard right now is probably the only problem with the car that I observed, and that's that while the suspension is slightly firm, it drives really beautifully over undulations and smaller bumps. It really gobbles up things in a very reassuring manner. The problem happens when you're taking this car over bad bumps at medium speeds. Anything more than slow to medium speeds results in a very disturbing kind of a thud, and it feels like something is broken.
Apart from that, what I really liked about this car is that the steering does not feel artificial like a lot of other cars in this segment.
It feels reasonably normal and neutral. For an electric car, of course, it's not comparable to the Volkswagens of the world in terms of its feedback and feel, but it's reasonably well weighted and it can be an enjoyable experience. The car feels very well damped. The suspension is a very good mix between ride quality and handling. You can feel the suspension at work at times, but it still is an enjoyable set of four wheels. You'd really like to chuck it hard around corners. The body roll is very well contained. A reasonably enjoyable car to drive. Of course, there are electric motors at work, so you can feel the torque steer at times and it can make the car go wider than you desired. So not an out-and-out enthusiast's car, but I really think that it's quite an enjoyable machine for being an EV. The power output on the two versions is also quite different. And while on the bigger battery pack, you'll get 167 PS of power, on the lower battery pack, you'll get 150 PS, although the torque output on both the battery packs is exactly the same. For the real world, the top speed has been electronically limited at 160 kilometers per hour, which is more than sufficient for all your practical purposes. And I think with the bigger battery pack, you have the range which is sufficient for you to make a round trip to Pune and back with some work to be done. The range here is something which is very commendable. It is the biggest battery pack of all its competitors, and the range is also fantastic. You have three drive modes to select from. You have city, eco and sport modes, and you have these sort of paddle shifters also, which essentially are not paddle shifters but controls for Regen modes. You have 4 Regen modes in all, so you can either turn it completely off as it is right now, or you can put it to L1, L2 or L3 modes. And as you can see, as I put it in L3 mode, the range is 343, so the range gets increased, and as you reduce the regenerative braking, the range goes down from 338, 329, and finally with no regen braking, it goes down to 320. And it works rather well. You can use it in a 2-pedal mode with L3 in city conditions if you anticipate traffic stopping at a distance. Apart from the Regen modes, the range of the car is also affected by the mode that you're in, and as you can see right now in the eco mode, it's showing a range of 346 kilometers. When you go to city, the range is reduced to 335, and if you move to sport mode, the range is at 318 kilometers. All in all, I'm very happy with the way this car drives. There is absolutely no drama. Of course, you want to push it hard, and if there is dust on the road, you do feel a bit of wheel spin. But apart from the problem that I mentioned, the thuds that you experience over sharp bumps, I don't really think there is anything complaint worthy about this car, and it drives in a very silent, very refined manner. The ambient noise is cut very nicely. The insulation is fantastic, and the feel from behind the steering wheel is that of a car which is beautifully honed. There is no mentionable complaints as such about the drivetrain of this car. Now, in terms of the warranty for the product itself, you have a 3 years or 1,25,000 kilometers warranty. And as for the battery and motor, you have a warranty of 8 years and 1,50,000 kilometers. So that's the assurance that you're getting from Tata. And apart from that, the colors of this car can be seen on the screen right now. Now, as you see, this car is quite loaded, and within its segment, it also gets the biggest battery pack and the best range. Looks stunning too, so you really cannot fault it for its specs, its design and its range and power and all of that. It's pretty good. Now, it's been launched from 17.5 lakh rupees to 22 lakh rupees. The prices of this car as well as all its competitors can be seen on the screen right now. And at that price, it really looks like a very good car. You have less expensive cars in the electric segment, including the Tata's very own Nexon EV and the XUV 400. Now, both of those cars are smaller and have smaller battery packs also, and resultantly, they also have smaller ranges also. Now, coming to the real competitor of this car, the MG ZS EV is a very sorted car, and price-wise, it's slightly more expensive, but I would really request you to go out and have a test drive of both of these cars to decide which one floats your boat, because the ZS EV has slightly more space in the back, but this car comes loaded with fantastic features, and it is indeed a commendable effort from Tata in terms of what they've done with the design, with the features inside, with the cabin quality and the way it drives. I really hope that I was able to answer all your questions about this fantastic new coupe SUV from Tata. Still, if you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I'll be very happy to answer them personally. Not to mention, if you like such in-depth, long format videos, and if you found value in this video, do give us a like, share it with your friends. It really motivates us and helps us. And until next time, this is your friend Amit Changani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and drive safe.